All right, if you're in law school, get ready because you're about to run into a learning method that feels totally different from anything you've done before. It's called problem-based learning, or PBL for short. And look, it can be a little challenging at first, but trust me, mastering this is one of the biggest keys to your success. So let's dive in and figure out how you can make it work for you.
So what's the big deal here? Well, just look at this. On the left, that's probably what you're used to. You get a lecture, you memorize a bunch of rules, and you mostly work by yourself. Sound familiar? Yeah. Well, PBL, on the right, it flips that entire script. You get the problem first, you work as a team, and you learn by actually doing something in a setting that feels like a real legal case. You're going to go from being a passive student to an active problem solver.
So here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off by defining what PBL actually is. Then we'll get into the practical stuff, the 7-step process that's going to be your playbook every single time. We'll also cover your role within the group, how to tackle all this online, and we're going to wrap up with the most important part, how all of this ties directly into you crushing your exams.
Okay, let's get right into it. What is problem-based learning? The key here, and it's a big one, is shifting your whole mindset. You're not just hunting for quick answers anymore, you're actually building a deep, foundational understanding of the law, the kind that's going to stick with you because you had to apply it. Here's the basic loop of how PBL works. It all starts with a messy, complex problem that feels like it's pulled from the real world. Instead of getting a lecture, your group's first job is to figure out what you don't know. The questions you come up with, those gaps in your knowledge, well, that becomes your research to-do list. And this quote right here, this gets to the heart of a huge mistake a lot of students make. Your goal isn't just to solve the case for your fictional client. The problem? It's just a vehicle. The real destination is learning the law and understanding how it actually works in the messy, real world. In PBL, the process is the prize. So why does this work so well? First off, you get a much deeper understanding. When you have to learn a rule because you need it to analyze a situation, it just sticks in your brain. Second, it develops the kind of critical thinking that mirrors how lawyers actually work. I mean, a client walks in with a problem, right? Not a textbook chapter. And third, it's just way more engaging. You're naturally more motivated when you can see the immediate practical point of what you're learning.
So how do you actually get to that deeper understanding and critical thinking? Well, you use a playbook. This next part is all about breaking down the 7-step process that is the absolute engine of PBL.
Let's walk through this playbook. It starts with number 1, clarify. That's just getting the facts straight. Simple. Then you define the core legal issues. What are we really trying to solve here? Number 3 is brainstorm. This is where you throw every single idea, no matter how wild, onto the table. 4 is arrange, and this one's crucial. You organize your ideas and connect them back to your course's specific learning outcomes, the stuff your professor really wants you to learn. Step 5 is to task out the work. Who's researching what? Then you all go off and do your individual work in step 6, research. And finally, you come back to share your findings and piece the whole puzzle together as a team.
Now listen up, because this is probably the single most important tip in this whole thing. While all 7 steps matter, your success really truly hinges on those first 4. Why? Because clarifying, defining, brainstorming, and arranging, that's where you do the thinking. It forces you to analyze the heck out of the problem before you dive into the research. If you get that foundation right, everything else, including your exam performance, just falls into place.
Now that 7-step process doesn't just happen on its own. PBL is a team sport, and for the team to function, everyone needs to know their position. So let's look at the 3 key players you'll find on the field.
First up is the chair. Think of this person as the group's project manager. Their job isn't to be the smartest person in the room, it's to guide the process. They keep time, make sure you're sticking to the 7 steps, and ensure everybody gets a chance to speak. And yeah, this is a role that should definitely rotate with every new problem. Next, we've got the scribe. This is the group's collective memory. The scribe is documenting all the key ideas, the legal questions you've defined, and the research tasks you've assigned. These notes become the official record of your group's analysis, and they are absolutely vital for keeping everyone on the same page. And finally, there's the facilitator, who is usually your professor. Let's be crystal clear about their role. They will not give you the answers. They are a guide for the process. They'll ask you really tough questions to push your thinking deeper or to get you back on track. But they're there to help you learn how to find the answers for yourself. Okay, so we've got our process and our team roles. But what happens when your team is spread out across different time zones and you're learning online?
Let's talk about how PBL works in the digital age, specifically when you're collaborating asynchronously.
Asynchronous is just a fancy way of saying you aren't all online at the exact same time. You'll be using online discussion forums to post your analysis, respond to your teammates, and work through the PBL steps on your own schedule. For programs that have students all over the world, this is a total game changer.
Now, this model definitely has its pros and cons. The challenge? It requires some serious discipline. You need a focused share and hard deadlines to keep the momentum going. But the benefits are huge. It gives everyone more time to reflect before they contribute, which often leads to deeper insights and helps make sure that everyone's voice is heard.
We've covered the what and the how. Now it's time for the so what. This last section is all about connecting this process and group work to the one thing I know is on every student's mind, succeeding on that final exam.
It's the ultimate question, isn't it? You're spending all this time in forums, defining issues, collaborating with your group. How on earth does that prepare you for a timed exam where you're all on your own? And here is the straight, unvarnished truth. The link between this process and your grade is direct, and it is undeniable. The methodical, analytical skills you build by carefully following the 7-step process for every single problem are exactly the skills you need to break down a complex exam question. If you skip steps or rush the analysis in your group work, your foundation will be weak, and believe me, it will show up on your final exam.
So here's the takeaway. Problem-based learning isn't just another study technique. It's a system designed to train you to do what the best lawyers do: analyze complex facts, identify the core issues, and apply legal principles to build a sound argument. It's not about what you know, it's about what you can do with what you know. It teaches you to stop memorizing the law and start thinking like a lawyer. So I'll leave you with a question. What's the biggest shift you'll need to make to truly embrace this method?